here to introduce Dr. Viveka Kalidhasan. She is originally a biotechnology graduate and a PhD in nanomaterial science space from National University of Singapore. And now she's turning into a young entrepreneur on wireless medical implant space. So today she's going to give a talk on innovating the inventions. So this is like for people who want to transition from academia to become an entrepreneur, and this is a good opportunity to listen to her talk. And before moving on to her talk, I would like to have some technical notes to be given before we move on to the talk. So kindly turn off your webcam or mute your audio for better webinar. Try to note down your questions, which will be addressed at the end of the session. Unless the speaker prefers to be interrupted in the middle, you may ask questions. You are in mute mode. For any discussion, you can use the raise hand option from WebEx. We will also be collecting questions from YouTube and posting it here to ask at the end of the session. Don't forget to send your feedback. So this is a wrong link. So we will be sending you the feedback to all the attendees at the end. Thank you. So I request Viveka to start her talk.
Okay, thank you so much, Divya and Mahesh, for having me here today. Okay, as Divya told, I have a biotechnology background originally from CPMB, like it's over here, yeah. But I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I was always looking for opportunities to be an entrepreneur throughout my life in academia. So I just think this is not like I really do not know how LLB works. This is not definitely going to be a lecture mode. Rather, I would like it to be an insight sharing. I'll just share my experience of how I transited from biotechnology towards being an entrepreneur that I am today. And I hope while I share the journey with my own example, with my own technology as an example, I will, yeah. I really don't know how long this session is supposed to last, but I'd try to keep it so concise. Yeah. Okay, two things for the talk today. I will be talking about, because I am a researcher, I am an entrepreneur, I'm both at the same time. So I'll just share about the key aspects of traits of being a researcher as well as an entrepreneur. And then I will move on to share my own experience with my own technology as an example to show you guys how you can seamlessly translate from being a researcher into an entrepreneur. Okay, this is okay. So being a researcher, I'm very sure among the audience, most of you here today are researchers. So you should be knowing that to be a researcher, among the many other qualities, being intelligent, curious about why things happen the way they happen, and a quick thinker are few or intellectual traits, right? Apart from that, you should be a good problem solver, because being a researcher, we encounter a lot of problems throughout the journey. So we should be a good problem solvers and should have very good systematic and analytic skills in decoding the problem and solving it. And above all, we all need to be so committed. When I started my PhD, yeah, it was like a 4 years PhD. So you know that, oh my God, I'm going to do my undergrad again. It's like 4 years. It's a lot of commitment. And I know that in India, it is always even beyond 4 years. So it's a lot of commitment. It's like a marriage and you need to be committed to it. So commitment is what a researcher needs. And being an entrepreneur, commitment is the key trait as well, because throughout the journey, there are going to be many days where we need to starve without being paid ourselves. And we also need to, there are too many problems that will come on the way. So we need to be committed, not to give up. And we need to have a business mindset, because for most of the academicians, being in a lab, we really do not know how to productize the technology, how to make, I wouldn't say how to make money out of it, but how to make a business out of the technology. So you should really inherently have a business mindset and, yeah, a quick thinker and application oriented. Why I say this is because yeah, we can really publish very good, very high impact factor papers in reputed journals, but making an application that's a product that's useful for everyone. I think that's the key to be an entrepreneur. And then you should have good decision making skills, and you shouldn't be risk averse. You should make calculated risks where you need to invest your money, where you need to invest your time. So you shouldn't be risk averse. You need to take risk, and of course, you should be very good in problem solving. So these are the key traits of being an entrepreneur. And okay, I'm just trying to, or how do I call it? I'm trying to draw similarities between doing research and trying to spin off, trying to start a startup, right? So for the research, you need a research question that you want to answer, like, okay, trying to find a drug for COVID. So that's your research question, and then you're trying to solve. Whereas for an entrepreneur, you need to find the pain point. Why do I need to find a drug for COVID? Because there are people suffering, and you need that is a pain, and you're trying to alleviate that pain. So the outcome might be the same, a drug for COVID, for example, but in research question, you are asking this question of what I'm trying to do. And for an entrepreneur, you need to find out why you need to do this. Why should I find a drug for COVID? Because people are suffering, and that's the pain, and you're trying to solve the pain. And it's not a brainer for a researcher. We all work in research labs. Most biotechnology lab would look something like this. And for people who are trying to spin off, it would be an incubation space which has office and lab and everything in the same space, right? So that would be your address. So a research lab and an incubation space. And the outcome of a good research is to publish in very high impact factor journals, but whereas an outcome for a good technology development is to get it patented. Like today, I wouldn't be talking to you, or I wouldn't have agreed to talk to you when Mahesh and Divya asked me if I do not have a patent for my technology. So patenting is very important before you go public. And once you've done that, once you've published in good journals, once you've patented, you are free for a researcher to go and talk in, academic conferences to share your thoughts. And among the audience, you might find collaborators who want to work with you. Whereas for an entrepreneur, you actually face the technology, you feel free to go and pitch about your technology. It's very difficult because in an oral presentation, for example, you have like 1 hour time to talk about whatever you want to talk about your technology, but a pitch is like very quick. And that's why I don't know, my style is always very fast because I'm so practiced to deliver things in like 2 minutes to 5 minutes. That's the time I've been given to share what I want to share. So you need to pitch. And among the audience, you might have investors who want to, invest in your technology, right? So that's the way knowledge is being shared for developing the technology further. So having said that, I was just for the past 5 minutes, I was trying to draw parallels between being a researcher and being an entrepreneur. So moving forward from this point, let me talk to you with my own example, my own technology, how I translated it, or in other words, from the title of my talk, it's Innovating Invention. Invention, it's so unfortunate that it's a webinar that I can't ask you an interactive question, but a very simple question of what's the difference between invention and innovation? Because outwardly, they both look the same, right? And invention is something that you develop in the lab. Yeah, that's all, period. But an innovation is something when you decide to use this invention for a need, a market need, then that becomes an innovation. So you really cannot take the invention and use it directly for market needs. You need to package it in a very excellent, exquisite way that people are willing to pay for that innovation, right? Like a very beautiful Mac laptop or a very beautiful iPhone, the way it has been, all the components have been packaged. That is an innovation. But the raw, how would I say, the raw layout of the innovation itself, you can call that as an invention. Okay, so having said that, I'm doing my postdoc now while I'm also trying to be an entrepreneur. So I'm like juggling between both, right? So this is my research. My research as a postdoc was what if we can one day take our mobile phones and monitor what's happening within the body. Let's imagine a patient has undergone a surgery, right? And surgery is not the end of everything. So even after being discharged from hospital, the patient might have complications. So what if one day we can just use our mobile phone to scan what's happening inside the body? That's the question, or that's the pain point that I was trying to solve. So that's where uh, the journey started. Yeah. So for this, to be an entrepreneur, to spin off your technology, you should identify a problem or a need. I call it a clinical need here because my startup focuses on a medical technology, so it's a clinical need. If you want to translate something else, it depends. The need, but the first question is, what is the need, right? For example, take this guy, Ron. He was an obese person. He underwent a bariatric surgery to where a part of the stomach is being chopped off, right? So that the person eats less. So that's a surgery, bariatric surgery. But the surgery was a success, but unfortunately, this is real story, right? So this person, 3 weeks after the surgery, his wound opened and all the intestinal contents started leaking out, and he died because of this complication. And trust me, till now, there is no one method to identify this complication in a real-time manner. So that I feel is the clinical need, right? And people like Ron are not alone. All over the world, there are too many surgeries happening and too many complications happening. For me, for the ease of it, I am at the moment only focusing on gastrointestinal surgeries. So I see that from my research, 34%, that's a large number. It's like almost 50%. 34% of GI surgeries are very much prone to complications like infection, bleeding, or like the case of Ron, where the wound opens and all the internal contents starts leaking out. So that's a complication and that's a need, and there's no solution for it. Typically today, if such a complication happens, usually the patient has to be rushed back for a corrective surgery. And by the time all this is done, it becomes too late, right? So this need has to be addressed. So early diagnosis of the problem is key. That is my clinical problem. So I'm still in step one. Step one, identify a need. In my case, a clear clinical need. My clear clinical need is early diagnosis of post-surgical complications. That's my need. Okay, fine. So I found a problem to solve. How am I going to solve? Then I give my technology. I should tell you again, my background is not wireless electronics, not at all. Before uh, First, I started with being a biotechnologist, and then I did my PhD in nanomaterials. So I'm in nowhere related to electronics, but still for the past 3 years, this has been my bread and butter. I am learning, and I'm still learning, right? With the help of course, my PhD student, my mentors. Yeah. So we have developed a real-time technology. It's wireless sensing. So I will call it as WISE. WISE is also the acronym for wireless sensing, as well as it's a synonym for smart, because these days everything is a smart technology, right? So I decided to go with the name WISE. So WISE is a wireless platform. You see, there's no wire between the phone and also the inside what's happening inside the body. So it's wireless, and it is batteryless, and it is portable. It's a mobile phone. It's not exactly this. This is not the device. This is just a representation, but something like this is how it looks. So then you provide your solution, identify the problem, and provide the solution. So you need to do a competitive analysis. That's the step 3. Do you think you're the first person doing this? If this is such a big problem, 34% of GI surgeries are prone to complications. Oh my God, that's such a big problem. And do you think in the world, no one else except try to solve this problem? Of course not. There are so many researchers which are going on in this field, and there are even so many companies. Like, for example, this thing here is Philip Interview. It's Philips, right? There are too many people trying to solve the problem. But how are you better than them? That's the thing. I mean, there are people who are trying to do this, but how are you better than them? For example, let me just directly compare Voice with IntelliView. It's from Philips, right? This is such a huge equipment which needs to be connected, wired, and it has to be in the hospital. So the patient also has to be in the hospital. Whereas my technology is wireless. So even after the patient is discharged, they can still sit in their home and monitor their health. They don't need a clinician to do that. They don't need a surgeon or a doctor or a nurse to do this for them. So how simple it is, right? So that's the competitive analysis that you need to do. See how better are you when compared to others. And then identify your beachhead market. Beachhead means like who is your immediate market. As I had mentioned to you before, I have identified my beachhead market to be the gastrointestinal space, surgery space. It could be anything. It could have been cardiac surgery. It could have been anything else, but I decided to go with this only because most of my clinicians, my collaborators are GI surgeons. Honestly, that's the only reason, but my technology can be used for any type of surgery. So my target market, right? Globally, there are 600 million surgeries happening per year, and there are 220 million gastrointestinal surgeries happening per year. Among that, if I'm able to target even 5% of the global GI surgery market and sell my product at this cost, I should be making a revenue of 22 billion, right? So that's my target market. 22 billion does not come to your bank account so simply, right? That's why as an entrepreneur, you need to be so committed, so ready to do so many things, right? This looks like a big catch. Day in and day out, this is what motivates entrepreneurs to work, not just the money, but also the reason that you are empowering 11 million patients. That's the big catch, right? Which keeps you going and not give up. So that's step 4, identify your beachhead market. And after you identified your market, you need to validate your market, right? Okay, you feel that you want to empower 11 million GI surgery patients, but really, does the market need you? Is anyone willing to pay for you for you to do this for them? This you have to do through extensive interviews. Till today, I started this journey maybe a year ago. I have been developing this technology for the past 3 years, and for the past 1 year, I'm into the entrepreneurial space of this technology as well, right? So for the past 1 year, I've done more than 100 interviews to validate my market. So that's very important. You need to validate your market. And after you validate, and all the more than 100 interviewees confirm the same thing. They all feel that this technology is needed. And my interviewees range from surgeons to very, very big medical device manufacturing companies, like really very big people, right? So yeah, you need to, and also you need to talk to patients to see that whether this is really a problem, right? And other technicians like lab technicians and all that, are they comfortable in using this technology? You need to make sure every stakeholder really needs your technology. So that's validating market. And keep innovating, keep doing what you're doing every day. And for me, it's a medical device. So I can't tell today I have the minimum viable product, the prototype, and I'm ready to go sell it. No, for me, it's the journey is so long, right? So that's keeping innovating. So that's it. Just to recap everything, first you need to identify a clinical problem. Who needs you? Why they need you, right? And after you identify the problem, then do you think you really have the solution, the technology to solve this problem? Yes, you have it. And then you need to do step 3, do the competitive analysis. Has no one else done this? Why are you better, right? So do the competitive analysis and then try to find out the beachhead market, the market which you want to enter first, because you can't capture the whole world. You can't tell that all these surgeries which are going to happen from tomorrow will use my technology. No, that's not realistic, and that is impossible, even for a very big medical device manufacturing company, right? So you need to identify who exactly are your target people. After you find that, you need to validate your market. Step 5, talk to so many people, and the number is exhaustive. I told you I have spoken to more than 100 people, and I am still speaking to people to again and again make sure that this technology is really needed by different stakeholders. And after that, when everything is fine, keep innovating. It is a journey, right? So that's the thing. And then you need to put together a very, very strong team. So this is my team. I am the CEO, and I'm very sure you know what a CEO does. In this case, most of the time, the CEO does not have to be the inventor itself. In my case, I am the inventor and I am the CEO. So I will be overseeing the technology as well as the business development of the startup. And in my team, why I'm putting this slide, I can just tell, oh, this is my team. this is my COO. Say, no, it's not that. Team is very important. Even during, I see LLB to me itself is a startup. I look at it that way, right? I am having something similar to that too. So each and everyone has to be committed and share the same passion towards the venture. So it's very important to have a very good team and also to have a very diverse team. So for me, so you see my COO, Chief Operating Officer, is Tern. Tern is an expert in AI. So I brought him on board because I need this kind of person who, all three of us, we all believe in my technology. Having said that, Tern is that person who might be able to bring in artificial intelligence into my technology, which I'm not, right? So that's the person. And on top of it, Tern has a background in business development. So he will also be contributing towards developing the business. And very important, mine is a medical device company. So I need a doctor. Though I come from a background of doctors, my parents are doctors, it doesn't mean that you know everything about medicine already, right? So you need an in-house doctor. So Amit is my chief medical officer. So he will be taking care of all the clinical trials and all those, first in human trials and all that. So it's very important to have a very, very diverse and very complementary team. If you see between the three of us, we all have something which the other two does not have, right? I understand the technology better because I am the inventor, which they both won't understand the technology as much as I do, but of course they do understand the technology. And I am the person who is really driven into looking at the business and product development. If you ask Tern to take care of the product development, he might not be able to, right? Because he didn't do the technology from the scratch. And if you ask me to run all the clinical trials, I wouldn't be very competitive to do that. But Amit is the better person, right? So it's like this. So when you form your startup team, I spoke to a lot of people before they could become my co-founders, right? Because another problem with the founders, you can consider me the founder, like the technology is mine. Some people are very narrow-minded. They don't want to have an outsider suddenly into their work. So first of all, if you are the founder of your technology, you should be open-minded and think that you really don't know many things. And there are people out there who can bring to the team what you don't know, right? Only then, after talking to, I should say, more than 50 people, I found these guys. They're awesome guys. We are getting to know each other. And behind this successful team is a very, very strong advisory board. I am not able to put their names here because of privacy issues, but they are very big people, right? So that is also very important because tomorrow when you go and pitch, who's Viveka? No one knows Viveka. But in my advisory board, there is XYZ, who is a very big guy. Then investors are willing to listen to you because yeah, that person believes in your technology. And people don't come on board as an advisor just like that. They will only come on board when they see that your technology is worth it and also when they look at your team, right? Okay. Can I invest? Can I be a mentor to these people? I mean, who are these guys? Are they really worth it? So that's also an art. You need to find the advisors. I'm very lucky to have very good advisors on my board. So that's team formation. That is all, guys. Okay, so that's my last slide and very important slide. If you have any questions, apart from writing to LLB, you can also write to me at my Gmail ID here. That's my personal ID. You can take a photo of this. My email IDs are very complicated. I don't know why I end up having complicated email IDs. So, but please, if you have any questions related to my technology itself, or if you want to explore the area of wireless medical implants or bioelectronics, just write here. And I myself have a startup which also looks into career development and research development aspects. So if you want to be a part of it or know more about it, you can write to avantgardeinitiatives@gmail.com. So that is it. That is it. Also so small. I'm done. So over to you, Divya and Mahesh. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Viveka. And it was a wonderful talk and a great motivation for people who want to do startups. And if you have any questions, please either raise your hand or you may post your questions. Okay, somebody's asking me, can you please tell about the patenting process if you have an idea on
Sure.
that?
Okay, of course, I should have an idea in that. So patent is very important, as I said, and it is a never-ending arduous process. It's not like you file a patent, it is, that's all. No. Firstly, when you file a patent, there is something called claims. You need to claim. The claim could be like 2, 3 pointers, which says your technology is very innovative that no one else has done this before, right? So you need to identify in your technology what are the key points. For example, in my technology, wireless, yeah, wireless is everywhere. Your mobile phone, Wi-Fi, everything is wireless. But there is something else in the back of my technology. The way I use this wireless to communicate about what's happening inside the body, that's the novelty. So that's the claim that I make, right? So you need to identify such claims. Usually, I'm not sure where this person who asked this question is from, but it's a very good question. Usually, if it was in India, to my knowledge, if it is from a university, you have your own university officers who submit an invention disclosure. That's how it happens in Singapore. Like, because my technology was developed from NUS, I have a technology officer who helps me put through this document. So you submit to that X person in charge in your university, and that person in turn will submit it to the country's patent office. In Singapore, it's called IPOS, okay, Intellectual Property Office of Singapore. So for me, I don't really have to go do all that. When I submit this document to those the person in charge in the university, they will do, and they will come to you again and again asking too many questions for which you need to answer. Yeah, that's one thing. And after that, patents have an expiry. So it's not like once you file the patent, you're super guarded. No, it's only for a year or two, depending on the country where you are in. So you need to keep renewing it. And more importantly, if your technology is going to be used in Singapore, you need to file a patent in Singapore. If you want to go to China, you need to file a patent in China. These are all very expensive and very arduous process. That's why you need to have your own patent attorney. They're also very expensive people. That is why startups need to raise a lot of money, because patenting is a very expensive process. Okay, so in a nutshell, patenting, it starts with a just 4 pages invention disclosure or whatever it's called in your country of patent, but you need to keep renewing it and filing it in different countries in the way the country needs. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Viveka. And a couple questions from Godwin James from YouTube, and he's asking you a question. What advice would you give for PhD students to improve their entrepreneurship skills? Apart from research skills, what skills helped you to become an entrepreneur? And another question is, what one thing motivated you to become an entrepreneur?
Oh, great. Okay. So that's my second slide here. These are the traits that an entrepreneur should have. Very good question, actually. So among the many other traits, if you want me to choose, I would just choose risk taking first. That is very important. And then you need commitment. A researcher will definitely not every time have a risk taking capability. Very few people have that. If you see, the CEOs of companies would not be the people who actually develop the company. So risk taking, I would say, the first thing, and commitment. It's a long journey. You saw my development plan for the next 5 years, right? So it means that I need to be into the space for the next 5 years and more. So that's the commitment. So I would just, for the want of time, pick these two. And why I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. How can I even say, even before these jargons were introduced, my parents are doctors, so we have our own hospital. I grew up in an environment where we take a lot of vacation. Growing when I was small, it was just like I look at my parents, they can take their own vacation. For me, that was the only reason. Oh, if I'm my own boss, I can take my leave. I don't have to apply for leave to anyone. That was the beginning of the entrepreneurial mindset for me, which was like way back, very, very young. But today, that is not the only reason. That's also a reason, though. That's not the only reason. Again, I feel for me to be an entrepreneur, researcher, and publishing papers in Nature and all that is great. But in my lifetime, I want people to, I want to see people really using my technology. As a researcher, I'm also submitting paper in Nature Biomedical Engineering about the same thing that I'm talking about, right? That's great, but that doesn't mean that people are using it, right? So I really feel that I want to see people using my technology. That's the reason why I want to be an entrepreneur. And yeah, if not an entrepreneur, I will be an entrepreneur again. Yeah.
Viveka, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so you are developing this technology from your postdoc research from your lab, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how would you deal with I mean, like issues like if you want to take out that product, like that research into a business, so would you be giving some sort of royalty to the lab that you were hosted or something like that?
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, for me, luckily, I have really very good mentors who are trying to kind of de-risk the process for me. But then, in general, if I were alone to do this, right, it's a very strenuous process. Um, it depends on the universities because universities, any technology which comes out of the university, the technology belongs to the university 100%. And I'm sure this is how it is globally, right? So if you want to, me being the inventor of the technology itself, I need to pay licensing fee to the university to get my technology. So that's how it works. Yeah. So
And
you need to
in a
pay.
time like how they are very helpful in encouraging you in the startup. Can you say a
Yeah.
few words about it?
Oh, NUS has a office for that. They jobs to do that, industrial license office. So their work is this. NUS inculcates an it's not just NUS actually. Singapore has the startup mindset and ecosystem. So they really encourage their researchers to come out and spin off because by doing this, they're really helping their technologies developed in their lab environment to be used by others. So how can I say NUS helps the whole of Singapore? They have this mindset and they have a special office within the university itself to help the researchers or people like me inventors to buy the technology from the university. But I cannot tell it because this is live. I'm really very tongue tied because of the fact that it's live that I can't reveal a lot of things. But please do approach me personally. Yeah, we can talk. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Like for example, like Cambridge has got a Judge Business School where they bring in a lot of people, like a lot of angel investors, and they
Mm-hmm.
listen to your ideas, and when you pitch it
Mm-hmm.
before a reasonably large audience, and then the best team would get selected into the process. And
Yeah.
is it something very similar to what you are talking about? The
Yeah.
plans.
Yeah, it's similar to that. So I think globally these days, most of the big Ivy League colleges and universities, they all have the same kind of entrepreneurial mindset, right? So they are trying to organize this kind of, in NUS, we call it as the demo day, where you need to pitch in front of the investors, okay? Where you can raise money. If you don't raise money, at least you're able to make connections. And this demo day is also and demo day slash liftoff day is also organized by the industrial liaison office, right? So, but before doing that, it's not like everyone can go and pitch. People like me are homegrown. They identify people like me and put their time, effort, and human resources on people like me to develop this first, so that we are ready to go and pitch during the demo day. Yeah. So yeah, something similar to that is how it works. Yeah.
Mahesh has asked a question like,
Hmm.
so how do you prioritize, like, which among the two is very important to become an entrepreneur? Like, either ideas or finance, which is more important? And if you
Both
want
are
to,
not important, Mahesh. Both are not important, unfortunately. People always tell me that the ideas are so cheap. Even till today, I am not able to digest the fact that ideas are not so cheap. You feel like, oh my God, I've come up with so much idea, and you say that my ideas doesn't matter. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's how it is in the entrepreneur ecosystem. They mostly look what is very important is the technology, not the idea, but the technology. Okay. And the idea is, for example, is when this slide that I showed, this is idea, right? But this is the technology. This is very important. So people invest in you or in your tech, invest in you for two things. One is the technology, and the other is this. You won't believe team and the technology. These are the very important factors. Period. And finances will come. It is not like a traditional business like those days where, if your father is a very big businessman, then you can start a business. No, it's not like that. Startup doesn't work that way. As Divya said, you have angel investors and you have people, seed funding, gap funding. You see the types of funding: seed funding, gap funding, series A, B, C, whatever. So finances will come to you when you have a very good technology and a very good team. Yeah.
And and how difficult it was to develop this team as such, because you need people who are like-minded, who think like the same as you, or at least similar to you. And how did you find it? Like, it very difficult to build a team?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. It was, as I said, I spoke to more than 50 people. Yeah, like globally before I put up this team. It was very important for me to put up this team because before, I don't know, there are a few investors who are interested in my work. Before I go, I need a team, right? So it was very difficult. And yeah, I spoke to more than 50 people. Honestly, there are other people also who eventually did not end up in my team who I really like and with whom I really resonated with. And for me, being a woman, I am a very ardent supporter of women empowerment. So there is a bunch of women that I wanted to work with too. But unfortunately, so because of many other reasons, they couldn't join the board. And finally, for good. I ended up uh, choosing Turn and Amit. They're wonderful guys. I mean, they are like, how do I say? These guys are they know their craft. Like Amit is a doctor, so he knows what he's talking about, and Turn is an AI expert. He he is one of the big guys here in Singapore in AI field. So yeah, so I'm very glad we ended up this way. But again, it's still the team dynamics itself is still a work in progress. So far, so good. Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have scope to expand it?
You mean to different geographical locations?
Yes, as well as such the team itself.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. Like I said, among the 50 plus people, there are a few people, like especially women, and also a few men that I really like. And I have told them that we will definitely work together in the future. It's not limited to the jargon of a co-founder. I'm definitely looking forward to expand my team in terms of, there are many positions, should I say, like business
Assigning them
developer.
job roles
Sorry?
in the future to come. So, like assigning them job roles.
Yes, that's right. So I know after I spoke to 50 people, and I'm still speaking to a lot of people, I know that, oh my God, this person is so good and this, and I would want them to be on my team, right? So I am in warm terms with all those nice people that I know already, and I'm still talking to people to have them on board. uh, Even as advisors, like advisors are very big people, right? Advisors or in the team itself, as for example, right now I'm looking for a person. Example, I'm telling you, if you ask me what is your immediate need, I'm looking for an RF expert, radio frequency expert, right? Because wireless is not my cup of tea, right? So I'm really looking for an RF expert. And my next immediate thing is I'm also looking for a person who's very good in regulatory affairs because this is a medical implant and we are all learning. So if there's a person who's already very good in looking into FDA approval, CE mark, and all those things, so we are looking forward for that. These are like very technical roles, but we're also looking for people who can, contribute in terms of business development, communication, talking more about the technology. Why should I be the only person who's talking? If there's a person who can go talk about this technology, pitch and get more money, yeah, we're looking for that kind of people. Yeah, if you are one, you can approach me later if any one of you in the audience is there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we hope, and I wish like people get your email ID to if they are interested in your
Yeah.
product.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And also like another question from YouTube, like how will you market your product? And after approval of the product, who will decide the cost of the product?
Who decides the cost?
Yeah.
Okay. How will I market my product? Because it's a medical device technology, and I have decided, even before I started this journey, I have decided, one of my mentors in my advisory board, he asked me one question: do you want to sell the product by yourself, or do you want to sell it off to a big giant like WhatsApp being acquired by Facebook, right? So he asked me this question. And the easiest and the most effective way to do this is to be acquired by someone else. This is not a bad thing at all. At the end of the day, that's my exit strategy. I want myself to be bought by some big person. So honestly, I don't have to worry about every hospital, being able to buy my product. So marketing is not something that I would worry about at the moment, because it's a medical device. If it was a software, for example, yeah, you should definitely worry about it, right? So yeah, that's one thing. But I would put it another way. I should still sell myself to, for example, investors, to get clinicians on board, to get really very big advisors on board, right? So there I sell myself. There I go for pitch events, and through my networks, my connections, that's how usually it works. And what was the next question? Divya? Hello.
Sorry, who will decide the cost of the
Price.
product?
Okay. The cost will be decided by many factors. For example, here I have priced my product $2,000 per tag. Okay, tag is my sensor, that the one that goes inside the body. It is based on how much money I spent in fabricating the sensor, and how much money, like me being, how much am I getting paid? Like how much everyone who invests time in that technology is getting paid. So it is based on that. And it is also based on how much value it adds. So is the patient ready to pay 2,000 US dollars to put the sensor inside their body, rather than to be end up going for a corrective surgery where they should be spending $10,000 more for the resurgery, right? So these are the kind of factors that decides the cost of the product. Yeah.
Like, so your advice for them if they want.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, can you hear me?
Undergrad. Yeah, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Yeah, I can hear you. I wanted to be an entrepreneur too, and I was in undergrad level. Um,
I want to become an entrepreneur.
uh,
What are all the difficulties he might face, or like the challenges that one may expect?
yeah. Okay, so for this, I have an answer. The thing is, you really need to be in that ecosystem. If you are alone wanting to do something like this, I really tell it would be difficult. You really have to be in that ecosystem with the people around you who can support you, because a part of my work is also to go around, talk to people, give lectures, and make connections, right? So when I went to, like let's take the example of NUS, for example. NUS definitely has that thing. Even from the undergrad, they encourage people to come up with some ideas, and they try to put like little money, like 10,000 Singapore dollars, to kind of support them and help them. When imagine this kind of a person gets $10,000, develops a technology, tomorrow he can go to a pitch event and tell that, you know what, I have, someone trusted in me, and then they gave me 10,000 to develop my technology, and I have developed this. So that's how you keep growing. So to start with, there are two things. One is you yourself should have that entrepreneurial mindset, and the other is you should definitely be in that ecosystem which supports you. Because for me, as I told, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? But it was only after coming to NUS that I really got the launch pad to get kick started. So without that, it alone, it would be difficult. Yeah, you should be in the ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you. And another question, like, Uh, okay, there's another question. How to effectively promote your product or other than social media?
Okay, so that's a question. I was I asked the same question to someone. I was conducting a webinar earlier and I asked this question for some other reason. Product cannot, it depends on what your product is, right? Like for example, my product, I cannot sell it through social media. So I don't know what product you're talking about, but okay.
Or market it or promoting it, or like even promoting it other than social media. How would you do? Like,
Okay, you need to brand yourself. That's one thing. So for me, today people know me in the space because, like, okay, I can only talk about having me as an example, right? So you need to make connections. Let's take it in a very small scale, easily understandable scale, right? For example, Divya knows me, Mahesh knows me. They know what I'm doing because they've met me elsewhere when both of them are my juniors, but also they've seen me talking about this elsewhere, right? Then they invite me to share this with someone. So in a larger scale, this is how it works. So when I came with my technology, one of my mentors, he came and told me, I mean, he was just one of my professors, right? He told, oh, Viveka, there is a pitching event on he is on the advisory board of directors of that institute. It's called Center for Innovation in Healthcare. So he's the board of directors for that, but he's also the professor with whom I took the module, right? So he came to me and told, you know what, do you want to pitch there? He told me, you might not win the pitch, you might not win the money, but it would be a good exposure to you. And I went and pitched, and fortunately I won the prize also, right? So that really opened up a door for me. I got money and I also got connection to people. So usually that is how it works. It's like through network, and yeah, it's through networking. And I think networking is very important, whether it's giving a lecture in LLB or whether you want to spin off, networking is important. Yeah.
yeah. And another question is, did you did you have any beforehand experience in business before you became an entrepreneur or started like directly as such from
No,
the
I don't
scratch?
have an experience in business. That's why I have to have turn on board who has the business background, for example, but I have the business mindset. These are two different things. Because when you talk about business, it's all about finances, spreadsheets, money flowing. I am very bad with numbers. So I do this. The thing is, I, as a CEO, can do all of these. But there are people who can do that better. So I pass it on to turn to do it for me, right? To manage this. So I don't have a business background. I don't even have a wireless background for that matter, right? But I know how to talk, how to sell, and yeah, I know how to talk and sell things to people. That's all. So that's the thing. So I have the business mindset. And if you have that, then you can find people who can do that for me, for you. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think there's another question which probably you answered, like how did you find your mentors and
Hmm.
what are all the field or expertise you looked for in your
Hmm.
mentor?
No, great. That's a good question. I found my mentors. The mentors came to me. That's the answer, really. Because if you talk to one person, really, when I spoke to my first mentor, right, he told me, oh, Viveka, why don't you go and talk to this guy? I feel that, this guy is a big guy and he's in this field. Go talk to you. Because they like you, they trust you, and they also trust your technology. Just because they like you, they don't go and tell, go and talk. They should also trust your technology, right? So that's one thing. So that's how you find mentors. And your mentors, your advisory board has to be very diverse too. That's very good question. Not all my mentors can have a wireless background. No, in my mentor there is a clinician. She's a very big person. She has been the CRO of many companies, and then she started mentoring startups which are unicorn startups now, and I managed to get her on board. The thing is, she has a clinical background. And also on my mentors there are people who have purely business background, like how people who can connect me to investors, right? So you should really have a open mind to look for what your team does not have, and then go talk to that kind of people. Mostly I don't go, they come to me. But if you ask me to choose, I would go it this way, do it this way. I will first look for a person who has a wireless background because you need a person to mentor your technology, and then I would go and look for a business background. But since my technology is a medical device, I also need a clinical background person to not a big surgeon, but a surgeon who has also the business mindset, right? So that's how I would go and look for mentors, and that's how I will go and look for my team. Look at my team. It has a medical officer. Not every medical device spin-off will have a medical officer, but I looked for that person. Yeah.
Yeah. So does it mean like doing a PhD in the right place and in academia is more beneficial to transition into entrepreneurship by like you get more ideas and does it like help you to mature into
Oh
a
yeah.
good entrepreneurship platform?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely yes, right? But then I don't want to limit it there and make people who are not in a right place at the right time feel discouraged, right? So all over the world, there are different opportunities. So you can write to me here. That's what I do day in and day night. There are other platforms which are trying to take, just send me your idea or send me your technology, and then if you're shortlisted, you can go for this context, contest and competition, this kind of portals. There are millions of such portals, so you need to identify such portals all over the world. Like even NUS has a few, right? And it's not like they encourage only NUS students to go for it. They are open for global participants. So you need to identify such technologies and then, such portals and platforms, and you can take it from there. If you are not privileged enough to come from Cambridge or NUS, then yeah, you can go this way too. Or you should be connected to people like us who can show you, because I did not start off by being this, right? I also got myself connected with someone who can help me, right? Yeah, so you need to just get connected to the right people. Yeah.
That's good to know. And another question, who are your market targets and how do you reach them? So uh, I think you pretty much answered that, but you can probably brief out a little bit.
Yeah, sure. My customer is hospital. Hospitals are my customers, right? And I reach out to them. Mm, Again, I don't really have to worry about hospitals being my customers at the moment, right? Because that's not my business strategy. I don't want to go knock at. How many of you have seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness, where Will Smith takes this bone, some machine, density machine, goes to every doctor, every hospital, and sell it? No, I don't have to do that. But so my strategy, this is business strategy, right? My business strategy is not to sell it to the end customers. No, my business strategy is to develop the technology and sell it to a very big medical device manufacturer. And I even know who it is, and I'm working with them already. So I don't have to worry about the customers. Yeah. But if for in a general thing, how do you reach out to customers is by getting connected to key opinion leaders. You call them KOLs, right? That's the jargon they use in startup community. You need to go to key opinion leaders, convince them about your technology. For example, in my case, it's let's say a very big GI surgeon who is on my board already, right? So if that person is convinced, then he will go talk to the decision makers in the hospital and say, hey, why don't we try this technology? It looks like this person, is having this technology, and I think it will be useful. So you need to get hold of the key opinion leaders. That's all.
Yeah, that's nice. I think this is one of the last questions, I guess. This is from, I think this question is probably you answered at the TNA alumni meet, I guess. But let me ask this again. How your bachelor degree and your bachelor university that you came from influenced you to choose this path? And also, does your bachelor's degree subjects and the grade really helped you?
Okay. Yeah, I really love my alma mater, TNAU. I love going back to the university again and again. So they help me, all my professors help me in a way that they might not directly help me with my technology, you know what I mean? But they support me, like moral support that I definitely get from TNAU. And apart from that, I have a very, very wonderful support from my family and friends to do what I'm doing right now on a Sunday evening. I'm doing this. I could have spent the time with my family, right? So I really have very supportive family to do what I want to do, and grades. I think them honestly grades don't matter, but I really got very good grades too. So I cannot tell you that it was not because of the grade. Like for example, my grades got me into NUS, right? So in a way, indirectly it mattered, but to be an entrepreneur itself, it really doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. And any questions, please post, or you may also raise your hand. And if not, we can wind up the session. Mahesh, do you have any question to ask?
I think I have asked almost all a lot of questions, I guess.
But you can openly ask something that.
So maybe some question like actually Viveka, we are also planning to take this LLB school to next level. So what is your suggestion? Might be like maybe like it's completely different, but still we want to hear something from the successful entrepreneur. Like
It's not different, guys, because my avant-garde initiatives, that's what I do day in and day out. Something, what you are doing is one of the many things that I do. So, yeah, I mean, I really don't mind sharing my experience.
yeah,
How do
but
you
the
take into,
question is
yeah.
like we started with it as a non-profit organization. So whether if we take into profit organization, will it be a good or will it make some bad impression among the people?
Oh, okay. For me, avant-garde initiatives, it's a not-for-profit organization too. So that kind of answers your
Yeah,
question.
it's
Because,
something like
yeah.
whether it is good to keep it as a non-profit or profit organization or something
I
like
think it's so individualistic. I don't know because you guys, for me, I'm the founder, I'm the lorry driver, cleaner, everything in avant-garde
that. Okay,
initiatives. But then you guys have a team, so it depends on your team dynamics and what you want to do, really. But for me personally, I really want it to be not to profit because it is my passion initiative. I really want to
okay,
empower people through my initiatives. But then it depends on what you really want to do. I mean, you can make it profit. Let's
mm,
say that you make it profit, you start charging people for doing this, then
mm,
you would, let's say, give better quality. You
okay,
can deliver better quality events, right?
okay.
So it's not a bad idea, definitely. Yeah.
We are always to give non-profit, that's for sure, but the thing
Mm-hmm.
is like we need to have a sponsors, right? Like at some point of
Definitely.
time we are
Mm-hmm.
losing like some finance, so
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so
I
I
know.
just so I just want
I
to
know
know
what you mean.
from the audience point of view, like so I'll
Uh-huh.
consider you as an audience and I'll just want to
Uh-huh.
know what is your view, like what will you think, what is the impression when we change into profit
Ah.
organization?
Okay, if it's a webinar, I don't, I mean, if it's the webinar, and I mean, you want me to give an audience perspective, right? If it's
Yeah.
a webinar and if you're going to ask me money for that, then I'm not going to join the webinar. But let's say this pandemic is over, we are out of this into the new normal world, and then you are starting to have physical um, workshops. Then, if you ask me to pay, depending on the quality of your service or products that you give, I will definitely be willing to pay. Why not? Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Mm.
okay, that's nice. And
Have you done any company registration, like for your startup, for example, a startup as a company? Have you
Yeah,
registered
yeah,
it?
yeah, sure,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, for
And are you
yeah,
and are you also in the process of developing it into a website for promoting your products?
yeah, I do that. Yeah, the website for my medtech itself, we are building it, but we have because in Singapore or in NUS, when you try to spin off, NUS helps you register as well. They green lane the process for you. It's a lot of paperwork, so they help me there. But for the website itself, for my medtech, we are developing, and but for avant-garde initiatives, I already have one. Yeah.
okay, so
Mm.
so maybe Viveka, this is one last question, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Mm.
So how do you define that your initiative is successful? Like you said, it's successful. How do you define it successful? Because I can say it's very initial stage,
Yeah.
but so based on what you say that this is like successful?
Okay. When even if one person comes to me and says that they were impacted or influenced by me, which I most often get from the audience, then to me that's the metrics to measure success. And for my medical device company, if one person is being benefited, then that's the metric. So at least one person has to be satisfied. I'm not asking too much here, just one. And I'm sure for LLB, I'm very sure you get really very positive feedback for all that you guys are doing. So
Okay,
yeah.
that's a really nice answer. Yeah.
I have a question. Do you have any plans to promote further products do you have any products in the pipeline for future other than this medical device?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. So this technology is what the technology is what matters. A wireless, portable, on-demand technology, right? Okay. The point is there's something here, a reader, which is able to, and the sensor inside the body, and they both are communicating. So definitely, this technology can be used anywhere else too. So out of my 100 plus interviews, I did a lot of interviews in other fields too, and I found out that food packaging industry would be the next uh, venture that I would be going into, right? I mean, I could have gone into that first because that's very easy. No need of FDA approval, no need of so many hassles. It's easier for me. But then it's my passion to bring a medical device company first. So we start with medical devices, but my next step would be into food packaging industry, where we would be looking into spoilage of food in large shipments, cold storage, right, where the food gets spoiled. So yeah, that's the next thing.
Actually, that's a brilliant idea, and that's really good to hear that you would be moving into food industry, somewhat connecting to the principles of alma mater.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we have Sudhakar sir here, like listening to the talk.
Oh, great.
Um, we would like to unmute him, and if he's interested to give a short note. Um, Sir, can you unmute yourself? Sir, can you hear us?
Divya?
Hello?
Divya?
Yes?
Jnanam is also there. I am also there.
Ma'am is also here, so we request ma'am and also Sudhakar sir to give a few words.
Yes. Yeah, let Dr. Sudhakar put a word, then I will come. I will join later.
Okay.
If he is available, let him talk first. I don't know whether he is available.
Yeah. Sir, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sharing, it was nice to hear Viveka. It was very good, webinar talk. Maybe we don't have any experience in entrepreneurship, and we never taught entrepreneurship in our in my classrooms anyway. It was interesting to listen to your speech, and yeah, it's really very good. It was really very good. All the best, Viveka.
Oh, thank
Thanks
you, sir.
for giving
Actually,
lecture.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, sir. Actually, oh my God, this was a so sweet surprise for me, guys. Really, Sudhakar sir is my own and only like first to go person till today. Like I can tell this anywhere. Like he is the first person I would go to. I really didn't know that he was there in the audience. It's my pleasure. And Jnana ma'am is really a woman whom I would look up to, and she is very inspiring, directly, indirectly. So it was such a sweet surprise. And Sudhakar sir, oh my God, thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
Proud of you, Viveka.
No, sir. I mean, I wouldn't be here if not for you. Like, he is the person who gave me reco for NUS and who still gives me giving recommendations for whatever I ask. Like, what can I say? Yeah, he's like family to me.
Yeah. Anything else I need to say, Divya? Divyashree?
If you like, sir, and you have anything to say, you're
Um,
welcome to go with.
No, that's it. That's it. I was not prepared actually. I didn't expect that to call me. I just wanted to listen silently. I wanted to write to her. And then you opened it. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. And ma'am, Jnana ma'am, you can give a few words.
Yeah, yeah. As usual, Viveka is she remains as a source of energy, inspiration. Because I think when she was a student, I was not knowing her too much, but when I called for the alumni meet, very readily she had agreed, and she had given a wonderful talk, and I think that was appreciated by everyone. So still, she remains as a source of energy, inspiration, confidence, and you can note her answers. It's all exemplary, and whatever things she's giving, it is all with a lot of guidance, and very carefully she's guiding the juniors. And now one more experience, like she's also having the entrepreneurial experience. And right now, I think we can consider her as a kind of mentor who can mentor the new generation people who are coming into entrepreneurial skill. I thank really Viveka on this Sunday afternoon for allotting your time in the weekend for the benefit of the students in the life science. And I also thank the LLB school, particularly Dr. Magesh, Dr. Divya, and the whole team for taking initiatives to conduct a series of such kind of webinars for the benefit of the students. Really, CPMB is honored to have such kind of alumni. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, ma'am. Oh,
Thank you.
I'm not an emotional person at all, but ma'am's word really, I don't know if I'm worth whatever she said, but thank you so much. It's people like Jnana ma'am and Sudhakar sir who inspire us to really give back to the community. I really feel I am so privileged to have people like Jnana ma'am, Sudhakar sir, my family, friends in my life who support me. So I think that when you share the support, you really amplify the benefit of the whole ecosystem. Thank you so much, Jnana ma'am. I was like
Thank you.
trying to resonate with every word that you said. I really don't know if I'm worth it, but thank you so much.
You
Yeah.
deserve it. You deserve it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Viveka. Thank you so much, Jnana ma'am. I think, Mahesh, can we wind up the talk?
Yes, yes. So Viveka, thank you so much for the wonderful session, and thank you TNE faculties for acknowledging us our efforts, and Viveka, please keep inspiring us, and I wish you all the best for your initiative and entrepreneurship. Yeah,
Well, thank you so
And
much,
yeah,
Mahesh.
yeah,
Thank you,
thank,
guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
everyone.